Master Soul began the show as a beacon of light within a failing Jedi Order, but the depth of his darkness ran deeper than anyone could have possibly imagined.
I've accepted my darkness. What have you done with yours?
Alarm bells rang all the way back in episode 1, and now this Jedi Master stands to be the sole reason the Jedi didn't discover the Sith until the Phantom Menace, until it's too late.
Leave your transponder on.
So hold on to your sabers as we dive deep into Soul's darkness, where the Rhine for him is surely on the wall. But before we get into all of that, don't forget to leave a thumbs up on the video if you enjoy it, and if you want to catch more of our Star Wars videos just like this one, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. Okay, so with all out of the way, let's get into the fall of Master Soul.
I'm sorry. It's time to make things right. It's time for me to face the High Council, to tell them everything.
Everything?
Master Soul began the show being compared to Qui-Gon Jinn. Many fans thought he was the Acolyte's answer to him, and then very early on his attachment to his former Padawan, Osha Anasea, came to the surface, which in Vestra's and the Order's eyes should have probably set off some alarm bells.
I see I have underestimated your attachment to her.
His Padawan at the time, Jeki, even pulled him up on it, only for Soul to move quickly to justify his actions. Now, whether Soul was right or wrong, we're led to believe he's a pretty decent guy nonetheless. However, perhaps these initial clues that not all was quite right with the Jedi Master should have been taken more seriously. Anyways, within no time at all, the show moved to reveal assassin May Anasea's true motivations behind the Jedi murders, an event I like to call the Brenock Tragedy. And as the story progresses, it became more and more obvious that we, the audience, and Osha, for one reason or the other, didn't have the full picture of events. And we thought there was a good chance our favourite Jedi to show, Master Soul, didn't either, but all clues are now pointing to Soul not just having a few skeletons in his closet, but rather a whole coven full.
This is your master.
Now, fast forwards to episode 5 and Soul himself faced immeasurable loss, as did the twins before him, and it's here we begin to see the darkness buried deep within Master Soul rise to the surface, more and more with each passing episode. Not only does he find himself in the company of May, who either wants to kill him physically, or she's there to expose and effectively kill the dream of Master Soul, what he represents, therefore completing her Sith Master's mission. But his former Padawan Osha is now in the company of Chimere, being seduced to the dark side more and more with each passing moment, it seems. And as episode 6 came to a close, we saw the actions of a desperate man restrain May, effectively treating her as a prisoner, whilst over on the island with Chimere, he tells Osha she's free to leave whenever she wishes. So whether that's true or not is up for debate. However, how each master approaches the respective twin therewith is night and day, and let's not forget, both twins in this moment have the intention to kill. So just which master was it that was supposed to be immersed in darkness again?
I've accepted my darkness. What have you done with yours?
Now, as mentioned, all of these events can be traced back to the tragedy that unfolded on Brenock 16 years prior to the show's main timeline, where we meet a coven of witches effectively pushed to the edge of the galaxy and on the brink of extinction, all because of their desire to wield the Force in ways that the Jedi didn't agree with.
Some would consider our power dark, unnatural.
Whilst they were hiding, it seems they exercised their powers to influence the midichlorians to create life, which resulted in Osha and May. However, then the Jedi showed up, concerned the witches were training these children in the ways of the Force. They took them for testing to see if they'd make it within the Jedi Order instead. But then mysteriously a fire breaks out, engulfing the entire fortress in flames. And by the time the Jedi had come to leave Brenock, every single member of the Coven are presumed dead apart from Osha. Now, I've stopped short here of saying that May started the fire. We know she started a fire, but I feel there's more to the Brenock tragedy than meets the eye. It's worth bearing in mind we've only seen one person's perspective of events, and Osha's the twin who since then went on to train as a Jedi herself. She saw the Jedi as heroes from the moment she first set eyes on one. In her mind, they didn't do anything wrong. That's why in episode 3, we didn't see them do anything wrong either. However, there's more to come with this story, which we'll likely see through May's perspective, where perhaps we'll learn it was actually the Jedi that began the fire. Now, we know they're guilty for something, and perhaps they sensed the darkness surrounding the Coven and wanted to destroy it before it was too late, in a similar fashion to how Luke contemplated killing a young Ben Solo when he sensed what he'd become.
I saw darkness.
However the true version of events play out once we see them, if we do, we might be left to pull both sides of the story together ourselves to make our own judgment. It seems the Jedi certainly had a part to play in it, certainly enough to warrant May dedicating her life to killing the 4 Jedi involved, and Master Torbin willing to kill himself over coming clean on what happened to the Jedi Order. Now, bizarrely, not only does Osha have limited recollection of what happened, but it seems the Jedi files on Osha and the Brenock have some gaps in them too, perhaps gaps left intentionally to prevent the truth ever surfacing. Now, I think as part of the Jedi's cover-up, not only did they leave out key important details, like the existence of May, but they also either wiped or manipulated Osha's mind.
Please don't do the memory wipe thing or whatever it is you guys do.
You see, May, for the most part, was upstairs with Osha when the fire began. She wouldn't have seen much more or anything different than her sister, but she clearly knows more, and it's her thirst for revenge that's brought her to the Sith. And this is the same path I can see Osha treading down now. Hymir's telling her everything she wants to know.
But there is another way. Below the surface of consciousness are powerful emotions.
But I think it's only a matter of time before he tells her something she doesn't want to hear. The truth. Hymir seems to know the truth. I think the Sith were on Brenock at the time, possibly learning these dark side force powers from the Coven. As we know, Darth Plagueis attempted these experiments himself in the following years. And I think once Hymir reveals to her what really happened, we'll see Osha totally fall to the dark side. Not only has Sol lost his colleagues in Master Indara, Torbin and Kel Naka, all of whom he likely shared a close bond with, perhaps due to the fact they all had a secret to keep, and this can be seen with Master Sol's belief that he'll be the one Torbin speaks to, and the guy literally hasn't spoken to anyone in over 10 years.
Here, speak to me. I'm an old friend.
Now, it's the very event that closely tied these Jedi together that ultimately led to the Jedi massacre on Kothar 16 years later, where Sol lost his entire team, including his young Padawan Jeki, and to make things worse, the one person who'd likely vouch for Sol not being responsible for their deaths, Osha, is being seduced to the dark side by Hymir. And then we got Vestra, Sol's superior within the Order. She's already suspicious of him, openly questioning him herself on why exactly May is after these 4 particular Jedi, who, as it so happens, were the same 4 Jedi that were stationed on Brenock when the tragedy occurred. Now, Vestra could have her own role to play in the fall of Master Sol. As we learned, Hymir was actually a Jedi once himself a very long time ago. He reveals in episode 6 a large scar across his back, which he alludes to being inflicted upon him by a former master, possibly a former Jedi master who, as he says, threw him away. Now, this scar looks pretty much exactly what you'd expect a wound inflicted by a light whip to look like, and whilst it could just be a coincidence, however I don't think it is, Venestra's own light whip, an uncommon weapon for Jedi, especially at this time, was revealed in the very same episode as the scar. And if it does indeed turn out that Vestra was once Hymir's Jedi Master, then this hints that she herself might have her own darkness she's attempting to hide. It's totally possible she suspects or even senses his involvement in what's been going on. Although she has her suspicions as Sol, she doesn't seem open to the idea of him being responsible for the Jedi deaths on Kothar, and it's interesting that they also bring up her issues with travelling through hyperspace. Although on the surface that might not seem like an important detail, as it turns out, when she does travel through hyperspace, she's been known to receive visions through the Force, which results in her body shutting down as part of her reaction. Now, it's possible this is mentioned because, like the Jedi potentially did on Brenock, perhaps through one of these visions, she actually saw what Hymir would one day become and decided to take action early to prevent it. So she could have her own darkness she wishes to keep from coming to the surface, and Hymir's return to the fold could put that in jeopardy. That's enough of a reason for her to pin the Kothar massacre on Sol's fall to the dark side, especially as he isn't around to defend himself. Whilst Hymir to the Jedi would be seen as a bad guy, it still wouldn't excuse Vestra if she did anything to him whilst he was her Padawan, through the fear of what might happen. So in a move to conceal Hymir's involvement, which in turn will minimise the risk of Venestra's truth coming to light, I feel she'll go down the route of putting it all down to Master Sol and the crime he committed on Brenock, which then led to May seeking revenge, and once on Kothar, the rest of the team probably discovered the truth of what really happened, which resulted in Sol killing him to hide the truth and to avoid punishment himself before going on to escape. Now, on record, the Jedi will know he turned off his transponder and left the scene, which will go down as the actions of a man who didn't want to be found. Now, I feel Sol's journey will come to an end this season, so I guess Sol could be similar to Qui-Gon in that respect, I think we're heading towards a showdown between the Masters and the Twins, and when it comes down to it, armed with the truth of Brenock, I can see Osha being the one to deliver the finishing blow, choosing the dark side over her former master, someone who, at this time, she'll see as no more than a man who lied and manipulated her since the beginning.
I think you would make a very good Jedi, Osha.
It seems almost right for May to be the one to completely break the spell the Jedi seem to have over her. The path was certainly started by Chimera, but I feel her sister will be the one to end it, and I feel this in itself will be May also completing her mission the Master set her to kill a Jedi without a weapon.
An Acolyte kills without a weapon. An Acolyte kills the dream.
Revealing Soul for who he really is will be killing everything Soul represented to Osha. I feel like Osha will start a path down the dark side by physically killing Soul. It would be cool if she also did that without a weapon, like with a force choke or something, but we'll see. Now alone I'd say neither twin is powerful enough to kill Master Soul, but together, if the whole Force Dyad theory is also true, then I'd be surprised to see Soul come out of this series alive. I think come the end of the show we'll see both twins become acolytes, with a possible season 2 seeing them unknowingly competing against one another for the role of Sith apprentice, once Chimera himself ascends to Sith Master. All in all, I feel the story come the end of the season will be one of a few corrupt Jedi afraid of admitting their own past mistakes, leading to the continued secrecy of the Sith, right up until the Phantom Menace, where of course it will be too late. So do you think Soul will be revealed as the big bad of the show? As always, drop your thoughts, theories and wildest speculations down in the comments below. Hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed the video, and if you want to catch more of Star Wars videos just like this, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you in the next one. May the Force be with you.